We are in conversation with Charles Hoskinson, founder of IOHK, which gave us Cardano. He is a Colorado-based entrepreneur. He's a mathematician. And IOHK gave us Cardano, which is a platform that aims to be better, smarter, and faster than everybody else.
The Cardano protocol is our first major product that we'll be releasing starting in December of 2016. It's a really exciting product. It's a multi-layered protocol that has a settlement control and application domain, and it's targeted towards gaming applications. However, it gives us the ability to actually talk about things like financial inclusion in the developing world, talk about how to achieve low latency systems with blockchains, which is a very difficult thing, as well as next generation smart contracting. So we're working in a massive global team, currently in 6 countries. We have people in the Isle of Man, people in Argentina, people in Austria, people in Ukraine, St. Petersburg, Russia, and Japan. And this federation of actors has come together to create Cardano.
How do you see this affecting real people's lives? Those out there who are like, I just can't be bothered to get my head around really what Bitcoin is. Cryptocurrencies I'm hearing of, but how will it affect me in my real life? How will it?
If it works in the Western world, it shouldn't impact you explicitly. It's more like VoIP. You know, everybody was saying one day we're going to talk to each other, you know, in video calls, and that was the future, right? Then all of a sudden Skype came around, and it just organically creeped up, and now it's in everything, right? You can use Facebook Messenger, these other things. So from the Western world, we'll just see settlement and clearing get faster. So you send a wire transfer and it takes 15 seconds. Transactional costs go down. When you go buy something abroad and you spend dollars and they get euros, the cost of that transaction goes down tremendously. So you'll see, in my view, iterative improvement, which will lower cost of compliance and these things. In the developing world, on the other hand, I think it's actually a completely new financial system, something that runs on a cell phone, something that runs parallel to the banking system, and for the first time ever opens up remittances, microcredit, and a litany of other things that are tremendously beneficial and allow them to build real wealth that also can't be taken by bad jurisdictions from them.
We have over 100,000 people that are in our community. We've had hundreds of thousands of downloads of Daedalus. There are actually 3 wallets in market now. There's Daedalus, Yoroi, and Infinito. People actually have a mobile experience. Hardware wallets are coming soon. And we've kind of mastered the art of actually coordinating updates and taking our currency to the next level.
Okay, so the topic of tonight is 3rd generation blockchain technology. And that's kind of funny because many people have just recently, or have only been in the space for a little while. We're already in the 3rd generation apparently. So that's going to be fun. So I've been in the space for a long time. I've been in the space first as kind of a lurker and a watcher since Bitcoin was $1. And back then it was a very different environment. We would never fill a room like this. I mean, you could be like, come, free money, pizza, everything you want, and we'd get like 6 people. Okay? Now this has been pretty common, and it's amazing to see the growth of passion and excitement. But back in the 1st generation, back in the day, this was like 2009 to 2012, 2013, basically we were just trying to solve a very simple problem, which was, could you create a form of decentralized money that actually has value and nobody controls it, doesn't have a central party behind it? As that's today, it seems like obvious, right? Yeah, we have that, we have Bitcoin. But back then, it was actually a very controversial and interesting question.
So the philosophy of Cardano was to separate them into different layers and say, we can resolve the problems of both of these domains with a blockchain-style environment, permissioned or permissionless. But let's solve the first major problem, which is accounting, and get that done correctly, because that's a 10-year-old problem in our space that Bitcoin has been trying to tackle, and everybody else has been trying to tackle in various ways. And there's just substantial deficiencies in the way that people have been going about it. It's not to say that things haven't been done somewhat well. Proof of work, UTXO accounting, robust scripting languages, these are all great ideas. The problem is that the execution of these ideas has been missing academic rigor. The execution of these ideas has been missing careful thought and literature review and saying, can we synthesize many of these ideas together to create a better system? So we said, okay, well, let's replace proof of work with something that's like proof of work, but doesn't require the energy. It doesn't result in mining cartels and has a much better way of scaling. So that's what the Ouroboros research agenda was about. And we didn't start with an algorithm. We started with, what is a blockchain? what is proof of work? How does proof of work create a secure blockchain? That gives us a security target, and then we gradually, systematically built out, conference by conference, paper by paper, Ouroboros, Ouroboros Praus, Ouroboros Genesis, Ouroboros Chronos, Ouroboros Hydra. There are many lines of research there, and each and every one of them targeted something. One had to create a model for how the consensus algorithm was going to work in general. The others had to relax things that were undesirable for production protocols, like a requirement for checkpoints or a requirement for synchronization and so forth. And other ones are even trying to make the protocols more resilient and tolerant to the realities of living in global scale networks where people can lie. And we've made enormous progress along that line. So now we get everything proof of work has, but we don't pay the proof of work price of centralization and environmental destruction. And that alone would be a huge innovation. But remember, we're trying to build a universal accounting system, one that's just great for everybody. So then we looked at other dimensions. We said, well, we need to have more sophisticated financial transactions in our system. Bitcoin only really supports signal signature and multi-sig and a litany of other little things, but not a lot of complexity, and it's very difficult to work with Bitcoin script. So one of the core reasons Ethereum was created was to try to give developers a better way of writing software. The problem is that they went a bit too far and they mixed that computation with accounting in a very insidious way that has resulted in a security mess, an economic mess with gas economics, and a litany of other problems that have been enumerated by numerous people in the cryptocurrency space. So what we wanted to do was kind of live in the middle. Don't be as restrictive as Bitcoin script. Don't be as open as Solidity or these other languages, but create a domain-specific model that allows us to have a really easy time to do complex financial transactions, but get a lot of certainty that these transactions have been implemented correctly. Now, the good news is this is a topic of programming language theory, and people have been studying that for over 60 years in the world of computer science. And there's a litany of just brilliant people who have come up with incredible ideas. And unfortunately, the cryptocurrency space has historically been very blind to all of these great innovations, some of which 30, 40 years ago solved the problems that we already have today. So what we did is we hired the best and brightest we could find. We brought the functional programming space into the cryptocurrency world, and we brought in people like Philip Wadler, people like Manuel Chavardi, people like Simon Thompson, established academics who have created programming languages, like Phil Wadler created Haskell, and Simon Thompson's done great work across the space, especially in Erlang.
So tell us what you're working on today at IOHK.
So IOHK is kind of a factory for cryptocurrencies and enterprise blockchain technology. So we're both a research company and an engineering company. On the research side, we engage directly with universities like Tokyo Tech and University of Edinburgh, and we write peer-reviewed research papers. So we have graduate students, postdocs, professors. We've written now more than 40 papers, more than 20 have gone through peer review, and those papers cover everything from privacy, like zero-knowledge proofs and multi-party computation, to consensus protocols, to softer topics like law and policy. On the engineering side, we extract from those papers protocols. So those are things like Cardano, or enterprise projects like tracking traceability in the coffee market in Ethiopia, or trying to figure out better ways to handle foundational topics like digital identity, for example.